What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the Nilou banner, including the 4-star roster, the character itself, as well as the Albedo banner, his current value, and as well as for people who want to build him in meta teams. I don't know why I'm moving my hand so much, but I think there's a duality to both of the things that I'm saying, so I just want to make sure that people understand. Yes, there is a factor for fun, for flexibility, for people who want to build multiple characters that are functioning on multiple different teams. Basically what I'm saying is you want the best bang for your buck, but at the same time there are just characters who are extremely good and arguably more beneficial for your primo gems if you want to get the best bang for your buck. All right, and of course we're going to be touching on the weapon banner as well. Before we start this, I just want to let you guys know, if you're looking for value and you want to get the best that you can possibly get, this is likely not the banner for that, and I'm sure a lot of you already know that. But for the people who are still newer to the game, right, you're thinking, well, you know, my Xiangling is C2, I don't have Beidou. You know, I think Nilou's pretty cool. I could get her, but I could not. If you're like on the fence about the 5-star characters in any of the banners, I really don't suggest you pull more than 30, at most 40. All right, and the reason for that is if you end up rocking a 5-star under 40 pulls, it doesn't matter if it's like the on banner or off banner, that's a win. Okay, you guys need to understand this, that there's a way to go about building pity. You don't build pity to like 70. Okay, you don't build pity to 74 and just wait for that soft pity 75 to proc on the banner that you want. No, when you are building pity, you don't go over 40. That's like a golden rule, and I've been doing this on viewers accounts, on my accounts, and just it's the best way to do it. Because if you end up getting a 5-star, and I'm sorry if it's not an on banner 5-star, you get like a Chi-Chi. Hey, at the very least, yes, it reset it, you lost 30 or 40 pulls, but you are guaranteed that next 5-star. And yes, I know as a free-to-play it really hurts and it really sucks, but consider that, you know, a small victory. You get a 5-star even though the constellation may not be useful, but you guarantee the next one. From now on, you know, no matter what you do, you can secure a character of your choice. So for people pulling on the Nilou banner, let's talk about the 4-star. The Xiangling C4 is amazing, like one of the most comfort constellations you can get on a character, especially a 4-star. And definitely out of the original 4-star characters, she has one of the higher constellation demands, Bennett being C1 and Xingqiu being C2. I guess you can argue like Fischl C6, but honestly I think Fischl C1 is pretty good as well. But without saying, C6 is going to be amazing for a lot of these characters, with the exception of Bennett. I know people still argue on that point, but with Xiangling, C4 is where you want her to be if you want to really have her start shining as your premier off-field pyro DPS, which, you know, to this day I think she's the only one who is capable of offering you that playstyle. Now moving on to Beidou. You see, Beidou is like one of those characters that a lot of people would say, you know, she's really good, like top tier character, like A tier. I don't think many would place her in the S tier category, but people was like, it's a skill unit. If you have the skill, she's easily an S tier unit. While I don't deny that she is probably one of the most sophisticated characters with, you know, the most min-maxy you can get, and playing her at peak performance, you need no teammates. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like playing Beidou at her peak performance, you can clear every bit of content in the game with just Beidou, and you don't need a healer. You likely will never take damage, but we're talking some extreme Beidou enthusiast gameplay here, right? Like she's extremely versatile as a combatant, while Electro nowadays has also become much better. She has many teams that she can go into Electro charge, and also even some quick and aggravate teams, and I'm sure going forward she's going to become even more valuable because she does offer that shielding, and with quick and aggravate and the Dendro Archon on the horizon, you know, it might not be a bad idea picking up a higher constellation Beidou. Now moving on to the final one, Barbara. This is going to be like the dud of the banner. There, I said it. She's definitely the weakest link in this banner, and the only reason she's here is likely to make up for the people who don't have, let's say, a better hydro healer such as Kokomi. So if you want to play Nilou efficiently, you likely will need at least 2 hydro characters to get that HP percentage resonant bonus, along with dendro characters, maybe 2 dendro characters, or maybe 3 hydro, 1 dendro, however you want to pair it. So if you have Kokomi, Barbara's pretty much just like non-existent. You won't use her. But right now, currently, as a beginner, is this banner even worth it? Honestly, I don't think so. Okay, and here's why. Nilou currently, as of this patch, 3.1, once you get her, she cannot function at full potential. This is the same issue with Sino, and I've been saying this in my previous video. I don't think it's ever worth it to pull for an incomplete character, and what I mean by incomplete is like she cannot function as she likely was designed or envisioned by HoYoverse currently. Does that make sense? I'm sure HoYoverse has like a grandiose plan, or like once a Dendro Archon drops and some other, you know, Hydro or whatever character drops, she's gonna feel amazing, she's gonna feel great, but she can't do that right now. Like, essentially you're buying into a character who is incapable of doing what she was designed to do. Now, a lot of you guys will say, well, next patch she will. Yeah, but next patch, the Dendro Archon comes out and she can pair with more than just Nilou. It's not like she's a Nilou or Sino exclusive character, right? Having the Dendro Archon and figuring her out first and seeing what kind of teams she completes and how she completes it, then you can double back and pick up those pieces as you see fit. And also you have the added benefit of seeing future character releases and content releases and seeing how Nilou performs in certain aspects of the game. Currently, after evaluating her skill in the previous video, I think she's going to be a good unit. And of course with Super Bloom, I'm just going to call it Super Bloom because I can't remember off the top of my head what that thing was, but she, through a unique team combination of exclusive Hydro and Dendro characters, can activate a special version of Bloom where the seeds explode faster and I believe deals more damage. So just off of that, like, yeah, it seems good, but I wouldn't call that an amazing character by any stretch of the imagination. So at the end of the day, even if she pairs with the Dendro Archon Nahida, I think she's going to be a good character. So without Nahida, she's going to be like a aight character, which Sino is kind of like a meh-ite character, but he's fun. You might find Nilou fun. And if you find any of these characters fun, go ahead, but don't bait other people in the process saying like, oh my god, Nilou is broken, she's so damn good even without, you know, the Dendro Archon. I'm playing her with my MC and she's just smashing all the content. Well, I'm sure she can clear the content. She likely will end up being a more restricted character in the form of a Dendro exclusive team. Although I do think that the Hydro element, one of the main benefits is how flexible of an element it is. Unfortunately for Nilou, I think that's going to be something that's locked away. That doesn't mean you can't play traditional reactions with her like Freeze, Electro Charge, and also Vaporize, but there's such a heavy incentive going for Hydro Dendro exclusive teams that I don't know if people are really going to want to pull her for more traditional teams. Okay, now with that said, Albedo banner, I'm just going to go over this very quick, right? Albedo has kind of dropped even more ever since the Yelan release because he lost his place in the Hu Tao team, and then now he's almost an exclusive character in Ito, Geo, Mono teams, and of course with the changes to the Hydro Resonance, it just makes him feel much less useful in other teams. And of course with his defense scaling, there's nothing wrong with him just sticking to being a niche character in a Ito team, but sometimes it just feels like he's starting to feel a little outdated. His kit, albeit, is very straightforward and not complex, but at the same time he doesn't really offer any unique playstyles and fun interactions, I guess, unless you think the elevator is incredibly fun and game changing. But yeah, for the most part, Albedo, not only is he falling a little lower when it comes to usage and versatility, he's also not that great of a character when it comes to like field presence, because you can pull this character, you love him so much, but you rarely get to see him because he's off field. You come back on field, drop his E, go off field, right? Or you'll use his burst. He's an okay unit, but don't get me wrong, he's an okay unit. If you love him, pull him, but for the most part, I think there's a lot of people who's gonna skip him. Now finally, let's talk about this weapon banner, because this one likely is gonna have people scratching their heads a little bit. Now with these newer weapons here, I don't want to go too in details right now. I may make a separate video talking about them, but if you're somebody who wants to secure newer options to play newer characters optimally, because these weapons are designed for the newer 4-stars and whatnot, sure, go ahead, you can pick them up. But honestly, this weapon banner just feels very risky. I think Nilou is going to be one of the character in Sumeru, if not currently, one of the characters that's being skipped the most. So meaning, if you're not pulling for Nilou, pulling on this banner is just honestly a waste of your resources. Even if you can end up getting the Primordial Jade Cutter, this weapon is versatile, yes, but it's difficult to say it's like best in slot for many characters. Maybe like 1 or 2, or just using it as a stat stick is fine. It has a relatively low base attack with an insanely high crit rate scaling to it. There's some benefits to it, but honestly, I don't see any reason to recommend this. Like, I mean, yeah, you got the bow here, and you got the Dragon's Bane, and I believe, what is that, like the sack bow? Let me see, is that the sack bow? Yeah, that is the sack bow. Sack bow is used by a couple characters, but really, it's such a hard banner to recommend, and I do think for the most part, people are just saving resources for Nahida. So, I mean, even if you're a small spender, relatively new to the game, unless you're picking up Nilou, I highly recommend you completely skipping this banner. I'm saying this for your own good. If you love this sword, or if you really want the Primordial Jade Cutter for some of your characters, you know, be my guest, right? If you want it for Ayato, sure. If you want it for any character, like Kaching or something like that, be my guest. Even though it's not the best weapon of choice even for Kaching nowadays, what can I say, right? You have been warned. Thank you guys so much. I'm actually really excited to test out Nilou. I want to try her both in traditional teams as well as, of course, the Dendro-centric teams. And once the Dendro Archon comes out, I likely will revisit Nilou again and see if anything has changed. Same thing with Cyno. Thank you guys so much. Make sure to like the video if you found this helpful. And until next time, I urge you all to stay safe and peace. Bye.